I am about to bust some myths on what you do and don't need to do to a road car to take it racing, and I think some people are going to find this video very surprising in a good way. So just to recap on what I'm doing, this year I'm entering all 7 rounds of the Javelin Sprint Series in my road-going Diesel Vauxhall Meriva. Not really known for its sporty pedigree, but I want to show that you can take any car and enter competitive motorsport and have a laugh. Might not win, that's not the point. Now, it is worth pointing out that the stuff I'm about to go through is the absolute bare minimum that you need to do to your car. You can do a lot more, and there are some instances where there's an argument to say you should do a lot more. But what I'm doing is showing you the absolute bottom line that you need to do to take a road car and get it on track and enter it into a championship. So take this advice as you will. This advice is based on the championship that I'm entering as well. Obviously, it does vary from championship to championship, but I'm hoping people will watch this video and get to the end of it and go, that's not as difficult as I thought it was. And that's what I'm aiming to do at the minute. Right, so I've pulled up the regulations, and I'm just going to start by saying that I'm going to base this on the category I'm going to end up in, which first of all is going to be in Spec 1, which is basically your standard road going cars. There's minimum modifications. This is the car that you're going to drive to work on a Monday, drive to the track on a Saturday, basically. So any information I give you is based on that. Obviously, depending on what championship you're thinking of entering, have a look at your own regulations. But the whole point of this video is to show you that you might not actually need to make as many changes as you think, and it might be more approachable than you think. And that's what I'm aiming to show you today. So with that in mind, the first thing I want to say is you do not need a roll cage for this category. That's something that everybody finds very surprising, but you do not need a roll cage, you do not need a harness. I will be competing with a standard seat belt in a standard seat with a standard roof above my head in a car that the day after I will be doing the school running. The second myth I want to bust is about getting my competition licence. People keep asking if I had to do any sort of test to get it or anything. I had to fill out a form online which took a whole 2 minutes. I paid £25, 3 days later, that appeared in the post. At no point has anybody asked me if I can drive a car competitively. I need to have a driving licence, which obviously I've got, or I wouldn't have the car outside anyway, but I don't have to do any sort of on-track test or anything. One final myth before I talk about what I actually do need to do to the car. The myth I want to talk about is tyres. A lot of people I spoke to assume you need some sort of special tyres to do this. The championship I'm going into, you need any tyres that are marked E, which basically means they can be sold in Europe. And we are talking road-going tyres. Now, obviously, you're probably going to want fairly decent tyres, but you can have tyres as far as your budget stretches. I have some budget all-season tyres on at the minute, which would probably be the worst ever tyres to take on track, because not only are they budget tyres, they're actually crap in all seasons. But in theory, if that's all I could afford, I could actually keep them on the car because they are well within the regulations. Now, I am going to get better tyres, but it's one of those, I assume the tyres would be really, really expensive, but it is just a case of however much I could afford, however much is left in the budget, that's how much I'm going to put into my tyres. So it just makes it that bit more approachable again. Obviously, all the things I've spoke about do vary from championship to championship. I know a lot of championships will give you a list of tyres you can pick from. It is quite a big list, and realistically, they're all good tyres on that list, so you'd probably want to pick some of them anyway, and I'll probably be picking off that list. But again, just check with the championship you're thinking of getting into, and I think it'll be a lot more approachable than you think, and it'll be a lot more affordable than you think at this level of racing. Obviously, as you move up to different levels of racing, the costs are going to increase, the regulations are going to get stricter. But we're talking entry-level stuff here where you can take a car, you can buy a car for a couple of £100, you can do the absolute bare minimum to it, you can get it on track, you can enter a championship and you can have a laugh. Whether you win or not, obviously depends. But you can do it on the cheap, that's what I'm trying to say. So now, I'm going to actually go into what we do need to do to the car, and I think you'll be surprised just how little we actually need to do to a car to get it on track and get it competing. Right, once again, I just want to point out that what I'm about to run through is the absolute bare minimum that you need to do to enter a championship like this, and I'm basing it on the category I'm entering in the Javelin Sprint Series. So you take your road car. First of all, it needs to either have an MOT or be capable of passing an MOT. Well, if it's your road car, logic says it's got an MOT. You need a helmet. Now, you can start picking them up from around £80 onwards for a brand new one. Obviously, again, it's up to you how much you want to pay for that. you need to put yellow tape around the earth cable on the battery, and you need a towing point at the front and at the back. And that's it. So you need your arms covered, but you don't need fireproof overalls. You don't need a roll cage. You don't need any sort of specific tyres as long as they're road legal. There are a lot of hurdles that people think to racing like this that you don't actually need. Now, obviously, as I've said a few points in the video, maybe some of this you do want. I will be getting fireproof overalls even if I don't need them, because ultimately that gives me a few extra seconds to potentially get out of the car if anything goes wrong. But I'm basing it on the regulations and the absolute bottom line, bare minimum that you need to get into a sport like this. And I'm just hoping it makes people actually look at the regulations for a championship they might want to get into and think about it and go, you know what, there aren't as many hurdles as I thought. I can take my car that's outside, I can do very little to it, and I can go and have some fun in it. And I really, really hope that people do just step back and take a look at it and stop looking at the hurdles and start looking at what they can actually do and what they can have a go at.